Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my first video on this channel. It's really just an experiment, kind of, just to see how this goes. Please leave a comment in the description on what you think, and I'll be glad to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for watching this, and let's get into the video.
The wait is over. Republicans finally have a bill to repeal and replace Obamacare. I am holding it in my hand. It is a real bill, and it is stranger than I expected it to be. There is a lot more of Obamacare left in this bill than I think anybody expected.
I like how they always say they're always pro-Obamacare, but then the moment a Republican does anything that's somewhat pro-Obamacare, they try to bash him for saying, "Oh, it's too much like Obamacare." Really? You're gonna say Obamacare is great, and then the moment Republicans do something that's like, "Oh, they left a lot of things that are kind of like Obamacare," you're gonna bash them for that? Are you kidding me? Okay, next clip.
There are differences, of course, we'll get into those, but there's a lot of popular parts of Obamacare Republicans now keep. They are definitely working in an Obamacare world. Can continue on your parents' insurance until 26, that's still in there. Requiring insurers to cover pre-existing conditions, check, still in there. Preventing insurers from setting lifetime limits, check, still in there. Tax credits so people can afford healthcare, check, still in there. Covering the people on Medicaid today, it is in there. Now,
This is all reasonable, but just wait like 10 more seconds. It gets bad.
Now, I don't want to overstate this. There's a lot in the bill that changes. Huge tax cuts for rich people, for one thing.
You realize this isn't a bad thing. You're saying tax cuts for the rich like they're going to pay less than everyone else, but they're still going to pay a lot more. The top 1% pays what? 40% of our taxes? That is absurd. They do make enough to pay for that, yes, but 40% of our taxes are paid for the top 1% That just sounds so absurd. I feel like, or top 1% of income tax, I feel like I'm not even reading that right. I feel like I'm wrong. If I am, please comment, but that's absurd. We're taxing the 1% so much that they pay 40%. That's insane. You're going to try to say we need to tax them more when they're already paying for 40%? Are you kidding me? That we 40 that's insane. You're saying that's a bad thing, that we're going to tax them a little less on something that they don't even use as Obamacare. They can just pay for private insurance. That's I can't even begin to fathom how just that's I can't even put it in words. You see me stuttering all over this. I can't believe that people are actually falling for this. All the comments in Vox News are, "Oh, you're doing such a great job." And they're just like throwing the rich out of the window. They're probably the most important people in our society. The best people, probably not. I mean, but still, I mean, they employ hundreds, thousands, millions actually, and you're just gonna bash them over and over again and try to tax them more and more. Like 65% under Bernie Sanders' plan. 65% of what you own going to the government if you make 1% or more, if you work hard enough to get there. Not everyone works really hard to get there, but you sure damn hell have to work really hard to get there for most people. It's not an easy ride up there. The top 1%, I hate how much hating towards rich people is going. They give you your jobs for the most part. I mean, I go on rant in there for a few more minutes, but you get the point, so next clip.
The tax subsidies, the way we help people afford insurance, that's going to be based on age, not income, and it's going to be a lot leaner.
I've tried this like 8 times. Every single time I go on the same rant about the circular loop of how the less taxes you have, the more money people make, the more money the government gets. So, I don't know what your beef is with less taxes. It gives more people more money. It really does, including the government in the long run. I'm just going to end it there. I don't want to keep on doing this. This is like my 12th try.
The Medicaid expansion that covers more than 10 million people now, if you read this, it stops adding new people in 2020. These details, they will change as the Senate and House argue over the bill. But for this plan to work at all, one thing Republicans have to figure out is how to bring healthy people into the system.
Or we could just privatize the healthcare and have the companies do that for us, helping both the people, the companies, and the government, because the private companies will pay the government to exist through taxes, which I don't like, but that'll happen. So you get paid for having healthcare. We could just do that. That seems like a lot better idea than having the government shamble its way through the people's money, making healthcare that's horrible. I mean, you have to wait 9 hours in Canada for a sprained wrist that Steven Crowder did. I mean, are you kidding me? But Have, have you seen how long you wait at the DMV? You want those people running your healthcare? You want to be sitting there with your liver on the floor with a 10-minute wait? I don't think so. I mean, that's definitely an extreme right there, but you get my point. I mean, you're going to be sitting there in real pain. You have to sick, thrown up all over the floor, waiting 30 minutes. Because someone's dying in there and they're taking your spot. And why would the government be better when they can just force you to pay for it? It's it's kind of obvious. Without competition, why get better? I mean, you're still making the same amount of money. Why spend more money when you're going to make the same amount of money? That's the way the government sees it. Obviously, the government isn't our friend. It really isn't. I don't know why you guys are trying to make it out that way, but it really isn't. It's not working, and it never has. Every single time the government gets bigger and bigger, it either topples over itself or the people push it down. It always happens. Always.
And here's why. If you think of a group of people on a continuum, from the healthiest to the sickest people, they use the most healthcare, so they're the most expensive to insure. That's why to get a good mix of people, to get premiums down on average, you need a lot of healthy people signing up for insurance.
You know what money those healthy people are going to use to pay for it? Those money that they're paying in taxes. And if they're paying way too much in taxes, then they're just not going to pay for Obamacare. Or even better yet, you could privatize it and, again, have all the private industries do that for us. It's not complex. Private industry is so much better on so many levels to the public industry. It makes both the government and the people money. It's perfect.
They use less healthcare, so they pull premiums down for everyone. This is the core question of insurance markets: how to have enough healthy people to balance out your sick people.
By having cheap private insurance that people can choose to have or not, because if people have the choice to have it or not, the private industries will force to make it cheaper and better for those people who are healthy. Then the more healthy people will have it, and it'll pay for it, and then the government will be able to make tax money on it. It's a win-win. It's perfect.
The reason this is difficult is that healthy people, they don't need insurance as badly. So when more sick people come on board and the prices come up, it is the healthy people who leave. Without them, the insurance gets even more expensive, which drives out the next group of healthy people, and so on until insurance is completely unaffordable.
Oh my God, you just wait. You just wait for what they're about to say next. They're about to prove everything I said before in this video right. That if you make someone pay for it, then you don't have to get better. Not that don't have to get better part, but you'll see. Just wait. Trust me, it's going to be great.
The way Obamacare tries to fix that problem is the individual mandate. Everyone has to either have insurance or they pay a small fine.
What did I say? What did I say would happen? They force you to have insurance or you pay a quote-unquote small fine. It is not small at all. It is oftentimes more expensive than the healthcare itself. It's completely unethical. The government is forcing you to get healthcare. Just because it's a good idea doesn't mean the government should force you to get it. It's absurd. They're absolutely proving every single libertarian's, every single one of their fears right. That the government will force you to do something if they need to make money off of it. If they need to make it look like a good idea, they need to make it look like it's making money, they'll force you to do it. That's what they just did. And guess what will happen if you don't get health insurance? You'll pay a quote-unquote small fine. They're saying small. It's not small at all. I'm going to just tell you that right here. And guess what happens if you don't pay the small fine? People with guns show up at your house and put you in a cage. That's what happens if you don't get health care. Don't you see how contradictory this is? If you don't pay for healthcare, they put you in a cage. That's exactly what the government does. It's always done that for thousands of years. Why are we making more and more things publicized through the government? It doesn't work, it never has, and it never will. It's obvious the private sector won't force you to do anything, and they won't put you in a cage if you don't do what they want. They'll simply make the product better and hope that you buy it, because if it's better, then you're more likely to do so. And so is all the other people that are paying for everything in the free market. Next clip.
The Republican plan replaces the individual mandate with a provision saying if you get sick and you need to rejoin the insurance pool, insurance companies can charge you a 30% premium. That's not going to work. Already, Obamacare's individual mandate is too weak to pull in as many healthy people as the law needed.
Want to know what's strong enough? The private sector. Want to know what's always been strong enough? The private sector. Want to know what is still strong enough? The private sector. Private health insurance works. It always has. Or not always, but it does. It does now, and it will forever. Unless the Obamacare and things like that come in and put fines on people who don't get Obamacare. That's not what it is now, but that's what it will be in the future when the government realizes too much of people are getting health care through private companies and they need to make more money. They're just going to make it mandatory to get their health care, or they're going to either make you pay a small fine, or if you don't do that, or they may just jump right into putting you in a cage because the prisons aren't already crowded enough.
That's why premiums have been rising in a lot of markets. This is weaker. It could lead to death spirals in a bunch of markets as healthy people flee and sick people are all that remain.
Who says people are going to leave? Aren't they going to have more money in their pockets because they're paying less taxes? That money going towards things such as, healthcare? And are those sick people going to leave if it's really that expensive? I mean, not as much sick people are going to leave, but some are going to leave. Want to know where they're going to go? They're not going to hop into no healthcare land. They're going to go to private healthcare. That's a lot cheaper.
And make no mistake, if they pass this bill, Republicans will own these death spirals. But that's just one problem in here. Look, hypocrisy is a minor sin in politics. People are hypocritical all the time, but it is remarkable how much hypocrisy there is to be found in this legislation. Remember when Mitch McConnell said this?
There are 25 million Americans who aren't covered now. If the idea behind Obamacare was to get everyone covered, that's one of the many failures. In addition to premiums going up, co-payments going up, deductibles going up.
So after years of Republicans complaining that co-pays and deductibles are too high in Obamacare and not enough people can afford insurance, this plan, the Republican plan, it lets insurers offer coverage with higher co-pays, higher deductibles, makes it harder for people to have it to actually use it.
What if that isn't the idea behind Trumpocare? Obamacare and Trumpocare doesn't have the same goals. Trumpocare, I'm calling it Trumpocare, you get the point though. It's not there to ensure everyone on this public health care, unlike Obamacare. I don't know exactly what it's for yet. I haven't looked way too much into it. But it's definitely not the same as Obamacare. That's not their plan. They can't be hypocritical if they're not doing the same thing. I mean, unless you have a different meaning of hypocrisy, which I doubt it. But that's just my point of view. Next clip.
And then, not only do they make that insurance harder to use, they make it harder to afford in the first place, particularly for the poor. Under Obamacare, the government gives subsidies to poor people to help pay their premiums.
Do you have any idea on where the government gets their money? From, the wealthy people? As I said earlier, the top 1% paying 40% of income tax. Again, I may be reading that statistic wrong. It seems absurd, but I'm pretty sure it's true. Now, if they're getting their money from them, they're taking away their money. Aren't they using their money to pay for, things they're going to buy? That's one thing. Things they're going to buy is the majority of their money, probably. So when they buy things, that gives money to other wealthy businessmen. But, you see that as a bad thing. Like, oh, how does this work? Well, I don't want to say trickle-down economics, but trickle-down economics, Those people pay the workers a little bit more because they have a little more money. So they pay the good workers more money because they can. They want to keep those good workers. And those good workers will pay their workers more money, etc., etc. To get to the bottom, people are paying a little more or getting a little more money. And then they'll be able to afford the really cheap private health care that's already really cheap, especially if you're healthy. It's already been affordable. Most people have been insured on privatized health care for a long time. And then Obamacare comes in and wrecks it all up, makes you forces you to get health care, and forces poor people to get health care. With the money they don't already have, forces them to pay for it. They don't need health care. They need food on the table. And you're making them pay for health care? It just seems absurd. You're out for the little guy, but the last second, you're making the little guy pay for it. You're making the little guy pay your salary. That's not how it works.
The Republican plan, it replaces these subsidies with tax breaks based on age, not income. And without the income-based subsidies, a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford insurance.
So if they can't afford insurance, you make them pay for it? That's Obamacare is way worse. Republican care is not better. It's better. It's not good, but it's better. It's way better than Obamacare. I don't know what you're fussing over Republican care for when Obamacare did everything way worse, like forcing those people to pay for healthcare that don't have the money to pay for it. Whatever.
The credit rating agency Standard & Poor projects between 6 and 10 million people will lose their insurance under this bill. A lot more would suddenly find the coverage they can afford has huge deductibles and doesn't actually cover that much that can go wrong. The biggest problem this bill has, the more I read it, is that it's not clear why it exists, what it's trying to achieve, what it makes better.
It doesn't force people to pay for it. That's one thing. That's a lot better. Honestly, if it did that, that'd be great. I wouldn't be happy. I'd want it to do more. But if it only did that, it'd be so much better than Obamacare. Because people don't have to pay those small fines, quote unquote small fines, and get locked up in a cage if they don't pay for it.
In reality, what I think we're seeing here is Republicans have lost sight of what they were trying to achieve in the first place. They are trying so desperately to come up with something that will allow them to say they've repealed and replaced Obamacare, that they've let repeal and replace become not just a political slogan, but a goal.
I do somewhat agree with him on this point. They have replaced repeal and replace with this. Or repeal and replace. I do very much agree that they've made it a goal and a political statement, and I really don't like that. They're getting it out there fast, and they're getting something in there that then they're going to replace again. Probably, I sure hope so, because this Republican care isn't looking that bright. It's better than Obamacare. It's tenfold better than Obamacare, but Obamacare was 100-fold worse than private insurance. That was a horrible video I just made, to be honest. But it's there. I liked it. I think it was pretty good. I shared my opinion, and I hope you agreed. If you didn't, feel free to comment, and if you did, also feel free to comment. If you if you have any constructive criticism, please say it. I'm so open for constructive criticism. This is not the best video in the world. Probably one of the worst, actually, if I do say so myself. But yeah, I actually have no clue how to end a video, so I'm just going to do it here.